All right. Hello. Welcome to the video. I'm just doing a small react to the new playable character and the dev notes for Tribe 9, because I really like the game. And I'm very excited to see where it's going. With the update happening next week and such, I just wanted to do a small little reaction because not many reaction people out there, but I always like to see reactions out there. So, to preference this, I am completely new to Tribe 9. I don't know anything about the anime. I've played through all of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 so far. But I know nothing about the anime of like the other characters that are present in the anime. So this is gonna be a completely new experience for me. But anyways, if you like the video or if you have anything you want to talk about or comment, feel free to discuss it down below and I'll try to respond whenever I can. But anyways, we'll start with the new trailer, which is Tribe 9 Hinagiku Akiba skill introduction, new playable character. It's only about 2 minutes long. So I'll let it play out, get my reaction, and then I'll talk about it afterwards. So let's go. A lot of people said she was gonna be a tank, so I'm interested. Let's counter. Break. Okay, perform up to 3 melee attacks. Okay, so she has a charge attack too. I like the pose she does after. Wait, hold on. Consume stamina to charge, and when being attacked in this state, perform deflect. Oh, it's automatic deflect. Okay, interesting. I like the new enemy's attack too. I'm glad they're changing it up. Okay, wait, hold on. After successfully performing a deflect during the charged primary attack, you can perform the same attack as when fully charged. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me rewind. After... Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Secondary attack. Track and rapidly approach the target to execute a powerful blow. Gain a certain amount of fist key upon performing an attack. Gain stacks without... Oh, okay, so you just get it off of casting it. So she looks like to be a DPS character with a lot of emphasis on charging. So she's not really a tank. It doesn't seem like she's a tank right now. Which that's fine by me. I mean, we kind of do need... I need a DPS. I don't have Mew. I don't have fuck. I don't have Geo. I don't have Mew, and I don't have Inoki. So my only DPS right now I'm using is Sudoku, but I consider her more of a burst DPS because of her strategy skill. Her like consistent DPS is a little lackluster. It looks like Hinagiku seems to be like kind of a constant, but also more of a burst DPS. But we'll see with her like ultimate and stuff. Perform a deflect counterattack. When executing counterattacks successfully, limit enemy actions by using attacks that will make the enemy lose their balance. Okay. That's just a normal deflect counterattack. No like unique gimmick. And this is her unique gauge. I paused at a terrible time. Maximum 300 stacks. All stacks are consumed upon activating her strategy skill. Gain stacks by executing a fully charged primary attack or secondary attack. Okay. So you want to really charge that up. But it seems like you gain stacks really fast. Check and approach the target and swing both arms to perform attack. Make the enemies lose their balance more easily. Okay, so that's a better break condition. Grant all enemies attention while decreasing defense point. Oh, they have Kaede Hondo. Cool. I know most people don't really react to like the voice actor announcements. But Kaede Hondo, she's from some other really well-known anime. In my mind, first thing that comes to mind is Sakura from Zombieland Saga. She does amazing. I love her singing, especially her group with Fanshushu and Zombieland Saga. And Akio, I forgot what that one anime was, but her character was Akio. I believe it was like that, not priest, but she basically forms like a group with this other like guy. Not a church guy, not a priest. What am I thinking about? Some like outlandish guy who's like super like religious and stuff, and he's like a DJ and stuff, and they like form a group. I never watched the anime, but yeah. But she has like a bunch of other good roles. I'm not sure in the gacha sphere, but definitely in the anime. I didn't recognize her voice, so honestly it was very surprising. But I'm glad she has a role. Okay, I'm just looking over the skills again, because again, this time I'm gonna look at it as like a primary DPS. It seems like she is. I just even remember her primary. It's also funny how they have the primary attack. It's just like, oh, that shit's weak. Like they just put weak in brackets. Like you're not supposed to. This is not the strong part for Ket. I just think that's funny. Press and hold. Okay. So that's not the secondary skill. That's the. I assume that's just like. And with her bar, that's about 1/5. 1/5 of a charge. Yeah, that looks like about 1/5. So 5 of those charges and you can get 300 stacks of the fist key. But it doesn't say, like, as long as you charge it, it seems like you'll get the stacks, like the same amount of stacks, so you don't need to like hold it for long. You just need to get the charge off. Unless I am completely wrong. So you don't get stacks off of counter-attack, it seems. No, that stays exactly the same. So... will you? It doesn't seem like counter-attacking is gonna be the strategy on her. Unless her break factor is like the same as everybody. I think everybody's break factor when it comes to counter-attacking is the same. I could be totally wrong on that. But I just know that Kazuki's and Yo's is the same. They're both 500. And I really like to counter-attack. So considering if it's like a benefit to break enemies with the counter-attack, we have to see the multipliers for that. But if it's lower, it definitely seems like you don't have to you shouldn't be counter-attacking as much and probably just evading more. I could be totally wrong. But yeah. Okay, except Okay, so I'm wondering how that will work in terms of like the charging and the deflect. So I'll probably have to see when the character trial comes up whether when you're charging you have to press the deflect, or you just press charge and then the deflect automatically triggers. Because let me see, consume sound, charge. When being attacked in the state, perform deflect. And then charge follow up. After. So for this instant, you just need to be attacked. You don't need to press deflect. Consume stamina. Okay, so she doesn't attack. So I think what they're doing is that, so if you're attacked but you don't press deflect, it just performs the deflect but you don't perform the charge follow-up. But if you're holding the charge and then when the enemy hits you and you press deflect at the same time, you perform that fully charged attack. It seems like it. I just want to see if you gain ki from that as well. I think you do? She didn't have a bar before. Yeah, so she didn't have a bar before. So if you do that, you actually do gain ki. So I think that's what you'll actually do. I think that's like the play style she'll go for. You kind of wait for enemies to attack you. And in the meantime, you just charge your primary attack. So you hit deflect here, and then it performs the charge attack for you. But again, we have to see it until the character trial. Okay, so this is the secondary attack. I think I completely like glossed over it. I forgot. Tracker, blah blah blah. That seems really fast. Like there's not a lot of lag time with that. So I think the playstyle she has, she's very like you probably have to pilot her, because if you're familiar with, there was an interview with the devs that was posted on Reddit a few days ago, and I believe they said that like they designed some characters to be like, some characters are made to be like on the sidelines, like they're made to be performed by the AI, so you don't have to pilot them a lot. And then there are some characters where you like kind of have to pilot them. So I believe, like, in my opinion, Sudoku is a big like victim of that, where you kind of have to pilot her because her AI can be atrocious at times. Same thing goes for Q. He's definitely one of the ones where you need to pilot him in order to make use of his like full kit. And then there are characters like Koishi and Saigo, who you don't really need to pilot at all. They kind of just know when to do this stuff. Especially Saigo. He just makes everything so easy. I used him a lot in the early game, but I don't use him now because I love to counterattack. But I can definitely understand their intentions going forward. Anyways, that's a whole tangent in of itself. But Hinagiku seems to be like a very heavily piloted DPS character, which I do not have, so I will be more than happy to take her. It seems like in terms of combos though, I'm thinking what her combo would be. So like I said before, I think her combo would be to like just charge, wait for the enemy to attack, and then you perform the deflect. So you get the charge follow-up in, make them lose their balance a little to the enemies, and then perform secondary attack right away. And it seems quite fast. So I think you'll be actually like performing that quite often. So I'm thinking something along the lines of like Kazuki's secondary attack, where there's like not a lot of stamina. But that takes up a fourth of her stamina bar. No, that's her counter attack. Oh no, that takes up a lot of stamina. That takes up like more than 1/3. So you definitely only get 2 secondary attacks in before you have to resort to deflecting or using her primary attack again. Yeah, you can only get like 2 in, which is fine. But yeah, that's fine. Deflect is just a deflect. Blah blah blah. Her. Yeah, they kind of have the combo here. So deflect. Deflect, they do a small charge, primary attack, secondary skill. Okay, that looks to be the combo. And before the next enemy's attack, I would assume you would do a counter there. That seems to be the combo to go with. So I think that's the combo most players will go with as well. And this is like the burst skill. Kinda. Swing. But this takes so much stamina. Holy cow, that's half her stamina bar. But have to see if the break factor and how much damage that actually does to see if it's worth using. I'm sure it will. But again, I don't think she's a break character. Her ultimate's interesting. Grants all enemies attention while decreasing defense point. I guess that really works with her kit, because ideally you want to be doing your charge follow-up attack, charge into deflect, and decrease the defense point. Yeah. That does make sense. We'd have to see the multipliers for that. She seems to be like a very, like the decrease. Okay, firstly, decrease defense point. I don't think any other character has that so far. I could be very wrong. Very, very wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. I feel like I am. But that would be, if that's not the case, then she would be the first character who has that skill to decrease defense point, but that's on her ult. So you really have to see where or how, firstly, how much tension that takes up, or how high your tension bar needs to be. Because if it's like, I don't think we have anybody with actually no, Mew is a 1. You just need 1 tension bar in order to cast her ult, I believe. So if that's the same, then I feel like she'd be really strong, even as like a AI pilot. Because she basically acts as like a DPS Psycho if you don't play her on the sides. Like, you just cast her ultimate skill, and then you don't need to worry about like enemies attacking you, and everybody just goes into her. And then she just does her thing, which is good. Like, having that decreased defense point is like an automatic, like, is an automatic really good trait to have. Even if she's like she's supposed to be a main DPS, having her on the sidelines as, say, like a debuffer is already really good. But then again, we have to see where the tension cost is at. If it's 2, As like a debuffer, that probably is like not the best thing. But if it's a one tension bar, I feel like she'd be like like a little too good, if that makes sense. Then again, we have to see how much the defense point decreases. If it's like 10% or 20%, considering it is an ultimate skill, might be around 10 or 15%, I assume. And how long that duration is for the debuff. Yeah, the art's really cute too. I'm excited to pull for her because she looks to be a main DPS and I really need one. Yeah. Yeah, I am quite excited for her. I remember her in the trailer that released a week ago in her leather suit. I really want to see if that's like an alternate outfit because I actually really like that outfit. But her giant fists are amazing. That's a really funny character design. Really neat as well. Yeah. Very promising kid. I'm excited to pull for her. Anyways, let's move on to the director's letter. So this release just earlier this morning. I kind of just woke up. So I'm gonna read everything. This doesn't look too long. I'm really excited to see what changes are coming. So yeah, let's read everything. So hello everyone, this is Tribe 9's director, Soejima. Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone for your patience while waiting for this update. Today, I am excited to introduce some of the changes coming to the major update version 110, as well as the roadmap for future plans. Alright, Chapter 3, Dead History Comes for Vengeance. So this is gonna be the new chapter after Chapter 2. New city, new location. I am very excited. A new main story will be added. The city that the tribe will visit this time is Neo Chiyoda City. As the name Neo suggests, it is not the same Chiyoda City from the anime, but rather a region slightly removed from the central area of the former Chiyoda City that serves as the anime setting. In contrast to Chiyoda City's solemn appearance, you'll discover the unique world steeped in subculture. Yeah, considering Hinagiku's design, he seems to really dive into kind of like the I wouldn't say otaku culture, but I don't know if one could consider maid culture as like a subdivision of otaku culture. Some people do. I personally don't know. But I'm interested to see. Because I also remember reading something, I think it was in like one of the Tribe 9's videos, where they said Chapter 3 will be dealing with themes of hunger. So I'm interested to see where this is going. And in the trailer before they released last week, they had Psycho and Inoki in there, and Inoki's like huge food lover. So I think they'll be really like utilizing her as well, along with Q. I think like Q and Inoki are gonna play really big roles in the story here, which I'm quite excited about because I love Q. We had Kazuki's moment to shine in Chapter 2, and he's gonna be showing up in Chapter 3. Hooray, the boyfriends are in Chapter 3. And Inoki is just a great character. Like everybody. I don't know. It seems like everybody loves her. I love her as well. I want to see what kind of backstory she has, even though it's not Oda City. If the next city is Oda City, it makes sense why we're introducing her into Chapter 3, but we'll have to see. New numbers, Shinichi Makata. So this was one of the numbers. I remember seeing him. It was in one of the scenes where it's like Zero shows all the various numbers. We saw like Ichinose, and we saw this guy in here. No shoes. Damn. Truth. He has truth carved into his left toes. Interesting. Tattoos are sick. He has the 24 tribe pin. I can't tell if the markings on his face are like tattoos or like they're just stickers, but like it definitely gives off more of like a puppeteer vibe. I want to know what that text is on his left arm, on his left wrist. But if I think about like if I'm going crazy, maybe I am going crazy. But like if the theme is hunger, like I remember, I'm wondering how this dude relates to the theme, because he doesn't, like, he's definitely like skinny, but that's like a normal in Japan, so it might just be like a design thing. But to call him like underweight or like even anorexic, I don't know if they'll deal with that. But the biggest thing that stands out to me in his design is actually this truth thing on his left foot. I really want to know why he has that there. Because usually, like, if you're gonna put a lot of character focus on somewhere down, like below the lower waist, it has to be like really big. But this is like such a minuscule detail that not a lot of people are gonna notice. But I noticed it, and I'm just wondering why he has that there. It looks different from the other tattoos. Like this big tattoo he has is on his front. It looks different, like the way it's written in comparison to the writing on his wrist is also different. But I could be like going delusional. I really like his belt buckle as well, the two skulls, one facing to the right and then one facing towards you. I doubt that means anything, but it's just a cool design choice. Anyways, in Neo Chiyoda City, the new numbers Shinichi Makata, CV Shigeru Chiba will appear before Yo and the others. Unlike the numbers they've encountered so far, Makata seems to be an opponent who strongly desires communication. We hope you'll pay close attention to this new way of interacting with the numbers and witness Trust Tribe's struggle as they navigate the unique XG of Neo Chiyoda City. Okay. Communication. Strongly desires communication. Interesting. Not what I was expecting. I wonder what they mean by that. Because communication... Someone who strongly desires communication. What does that mean? That's such a broad term. Because it can mean like... whether he desires more communication, he greatly, strongly desires communication. Desires communication. Communication from who? From where? And for what? Those are like my main questions. But of course they're not going to reveal it. We have to play the chapter. But those are some like... That's an interesting word to highlight. Communication. Interesting. I wonder if it has to do with the truth on his left foot. I'm hyperfixating on this. I could go on like a rant or something. It's such an interesting design choice. Just include there. Anyways, also, the mysterious Q who seems to have a significant connection to Neo Chiyoda City will be an important character in this chapter. Of course, we love Q in this neighborhood. The events in Chapter 3 are partially connected to those in anime, so we highly recommend taking this opportunity to watch the Tribe 9 anime's limited time release, as it may allow you to enjoy the story even deeply. even more deeply. Okay, so they're promoting the anime. I kind of wanted to ignore it just because I didn't want to spoil myself, even if there are no spoilers, because I've heard it's more like a prequel. If anything, it's more like a backstory to like the entire atmosphere of like Tribe 9. So if it's more like that, and if they are even like promoting it, that's not something you often see. I mean, Tribe 9 is one of those rare gacha games that actually has an established anime before the game's release. So I guess that's why I haven't seen it before. But probably because they're promoting it, I may actually have to watch it. Which is crazy because I haven't actually watched like a full anime in 2 years. But I'll definitely like see how the first episode is. If I think I won't get spoiled, because I want to stay unspoiled. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'll definitely like check out the first episode. Okay. Oh god, moving on. About the level difficulty level, blah blah blah. As a heads up, the enemy levels in Neo Chiyoda City will be higher than the previous areas. You may find battles challenging if you have just completed Chapter 2, so we recommend thoroughly upgrading your characters and cards before proceeding. Starting with Chapter 3, we've reduced the number of full mark gates that restrict story progression. Additionally, we've adjusted Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 to require fewer full mark stickers, making it easier to enjoy the story. On the other hand, routes that are considered shortcuts in Chapter 3 will have gates that require a higher number of full mark stickers. These routes will also feature higher level enemies with challenging battles. We encourage you to unlock the level cap, strengthen your characters, and explore Neo Chiyoda City after completing the main story. Okay, so they do... Okay, level difficulty. So in this screenshot, these enemies are level 42. I wouldn't consider that endgame, because I feel like once you hit, like right now, endgame seems to be once you hit about level 45. Because once you hit level 45, you can't gain any XP from the bosses like Shark and Brave Diver. You have to go into Fractal Vice, which is basically the only form of endgame content there is right now. So I considered that kind of endgame. So it seems like they kind of want you to be like, oh, just spend the next like 1 or 2 weeks kind of like upgrading your characters, and then you should be fine going into Chapter 3, which I think it's fine. I think some players who are especially like they really want a challenge don't like it per se, because the thing about Tribe 9 is that it's designed in a way where even if you're lower level, you're still able to kill enemies if your skill level is good enough. Like if you are able to counter attack like pretty much 95% of the enemies, you know their attack patterns, you know how to play your characters, you're able to be an enemy that's like 10 levels higher than you. I think that's an amazing thing, is that the game rewards you for having skill. And continuing on with that, I think that's totally fine to have like higher difficulty and then full mark gates to restrict story progression. I think that's fine to have. This is more like a time gate kind of thing, instead of where like some gacha games they have like time gate resources in order for you to log back in. Tribe 9 seems to be going the route where it's like, oh, you have to like explore the map, and you have to like you have to level up your characters. Leveling is the gatekeep for the story progression. Some people might not like that. Some people will. I personally don't really care because I'm a perfectionist. So I will be completing everything regardless of whether it is higher difficulty or not. But yeah, that's good that they're kind of like letting us know. Furthermore, in Neo Chiyoda City, in addition to bosses and story, new Pantamon and Pantamon subsets will also be added. The new PAR system, which we'll detail later in this letter, is designed to ensure your carefully selected Pantamon remain valuable over time. We hope you'll enjoy experimenting with new combinations. Okay, I didn't think they would be already touching on the Pantamon system like this already. New Pantamon and like new Pantamon, of course, it will be inevitable, but integrating more subsets is definitely an interesting choice. I can't read Japanese, so I don't know what the heck that is. So it could be like damage cut. It has the heart. There's like the two subsets that use the heart is the HP, which is down below, and the damage cut. I don't know why they're highlighting that. Maybe it's different from damage cut. But we'll have to see. A new PAR system, which they'll explain there. So we'll get into that. New playable character. We just saw her trailer. At first glance, she seems like an ordinary maid with a question mark. Ordinary, yeah, sure. None of these characters are ordinary, bro. But she appears to be related to the once prosperous Otori family. We hope you look forward to her role in chapter 3. So she's most likely related to Q. Not as a sibling, but family, probably connections. So I want to see their dynamic. That's a good dynamic. Interesting dynamic. I want to see more of her personality, how she interacts with the main cast. It's just really cute. Because if she's like, "Oh, you're Otori," just outs him. She just outs him like a gay person. That'd be funny. But I don't think that's probably like not gonna happen. She's probably like, "You look familiar." Q's like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." She's like, "Yeah, you're right." But then later it's like, "Oh, you are. I was right." You know, that kind of thing. Whatever. Okay, so this is kind of her. This is Hinagaku's the summary they provided. Hinagaku's most distinctive feature is a charge attack, which can be unleashed by press and holding her primary attack. This action also has an integrated offense and defense capability. If Hinagiku takes an enemy hit while charging your attack, a deflect counterattack will activate. While this ability may seem overpowered, we want to note that the deflect frames during a charged attack occur shortly after she begins charging, which means that if you want to be aggressive, you'll need to use regular deflects effectively instead. Okay. So it's basically what I kind of theorized before. Deflect frames during the charged attack will occur shortly after she begins charging. So you need to like charge, and then there's kind of like, you can't just deflect immediately. Like you can't just hold and then a millisecond later press deflect. You have to like hold for like maybe a second at most, and then hit deflect. Hinagiku is a character who makes deflects easy to perform, even for players less comfortable with timing counterattacks. However, mastering her unique deflect abilities unlocks her potential for massive damage output, making her versatile across different playstyles. Yeah, so I don't know if I contradicted myself earlier when I said maybe she's not a counterattacking unit. She's definitely a counterattacking unit. Which is great. I love counterattacking, so it'll be fun to see how she fits into my playstyle, because I already love counterattacking with Kazuki. Kazuki's amazing to counterattack with. Yeah. She's definitely... I don't know how Inoki plays, but I know Inoki is like, you have to do passive evasion and like a lot of counter attacks too. So I wonder how they'll play differently in terms of like play style. Hinagiku's ultimate skill, consume tension by 100 and inflicts attention on all enemies. This effect allows Hinagiku to serve as a tank, protecting party members similar to Saigo and Q. Yep, like I said before. This update will also introduce many additions to expand synergy of hegemony tension cards. Okay, so they're... Oh, right. So attention transforms to hegemony, right? So we hope you'll enjoy experimenting with different builds. Yeah. So it seems like with this city, they'll be focusing, or the units will be focusing on attention, or at least Hinagiku. Because I know with the cards related to Chapter 2, they made a lot of them kingship related, like with Mita's 4-star card and Kazuki's 4-star card. They both are based off of kingship. So perhaps the 4-star cards for the characters that will be released in Chapter 3 will all deal with attention and hegemony as a status. So perhaps I may start building those. But this right here, Hinagiku's ultimate skill consumes 100 tension. So tension by 100. That is only one tension bar. I believe. Because Kazuki's is 200 and that consumes 2 tension bars, so on and so forth. But a 100 tension ultimate skill, that's kind of insane. So she definitely is, like, as the dev summarized, you can serve as a tank. So you can do a tank build on her. Will she perform as like a break tank? I don't know. I'm worried that she's too versatile. I'm thinking of whether she would be a must pull or not. Because she can serve as a tank. She doesn't have... If her passives are like enhance her tanking capabilities, that would be weird. But if there's like one DPS and one tank passive, like Sudoku where she has one healing and then one damage passive alternative, I think that'll be fine. But if both passives either being like DPS or both passives being tank, it'd be really weird. But I hope she just has like one attack, one tank passive, but we'll have to see. But skill tension by 100, that's kind of insane, because you can just cast that at the beginning of battle, and you'll be like set to go. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, that's insane. So we'll have to see how she plays out. Okay, Rift updates! Finally, okay, I can already see by the screenshot. So we have a 45 now. We have a 45 level cap. We can finally get the gold rarity for Rift. Thank the Lord. And we have the consume tension. No, not consume tension. Consume booster. So you can consume one. See how many. Oh, thank the Lord. That was one of my complaints. With the Rift system. Was just like, why do we only consume one when you can suck up to 30? I do not want to do 30 individual Rift runs. No. But I'm so happy about that. Oh, I could cry. Okay, anyways. We have received extensive feedback about the difficulty to enjoy Rifts, and will be implementing significant improvements in response. Starting with this update, new difficulty levels will be added to bosses and rifts. Beyond these new difficulties, a bonus called Highest Difficulty Bonus will be added, allowing you to earn additional Cane and T points. Okay, so that's how they're implementing it. Furthermore, similar to Lux Phantasma's repeatable stages, a function will be added to allow players to consume up to 3 boosters at once, and double the number of rewards and double the number of reward draws you receive based on the number of boosters consumed. Okay. Makes sense. I thought, okay, so it doesn't seem like they're adding a Kane and a T-point rift, but instead they're adding it to the highest difficulty bonus, which is interesting. We'll have to see how much it gives, because a lot of people I know are farming Kane and T points through daily commissions only, which is weird in of itself. And I one of my wishes was that they added a Kane and a T point rift, particularly replacing the ones where it's just like material. There's like 2 rifts, one in Shinagawa and one in Minato, where it's just like, oh, it's just the materials you find in the open world. And I thought that was like, I think that's kind of stupid. It's just like, if I can find it in the overworld, why the heck do I need to do a rift? But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how much Kane and T points are given through this highest difficulty bonus system. Anyways, changes to the par system. Okay, we will be changing the specifications for par to partially remove the tier restrictions, so that substats will be inherited if the tier is higher than the Pentamon selected at the time of use. Okay, that's good. I didn't do that, but it definitely helps a lot with like people who are starting to use the par system. We understand that this change may be met with mixed reactions due to the increased frequency of Kane consumption associated with using par. However, we're making this change to maintain players' motivation to strategize the overworld Pentamons, ensuring that you receive similar attention to those obtained in Fractal Vice. Okay, so it seems like from this sentence, it seems like they're making it capable to receive tier 8 Pentamons in the overworld. Because right now the Pentamons in the overworld, they're not very good. Like most of their subsets are gray or blue. I think you pretty much never come across a gold substat in the overworld. And like purple at most, but the substats are usually pretty shite. And then you always have like the skill upgrades for certain characters, but they're randomized and there's so many character skills. So I want to see how they manage that in the overworld in chapter 3, since it is a higher difficulty. If they'll be like, if farming in the overworld is actually beneficial in comparison to Fractal Vice. We'll have to see. As mentioned earlier, we will continue to review and balance resource acquisitions by increasing both sources and amounts of Kane, which should help reduce the stress in the future, so we're gonna look out for that. Okay, good. Honestly, I don't have too many thoughts about that. Moving on. Filtering feature! Yes! Oh, finally. The filtering feature for Pentamons will finally be added. Thank you for your patience while we worked on getting this feature implemented. We also plan to adding an automatic compression function in a future update. Yes! Okay, that's literally all I needed to hear. Anyways, limited time shop. As a brief side note, unrelated to game content, we'll be adding a limited time shop that uses paid enigmas in version 110. Skins that were previously only obtainable from wonder boxes will now also be featured periodically in the shop for direct purchases. Keep an eye out, your favorite character skin might be featured soon. Additionally, we are planning to sell several items to help those who cannot spend much time playing to progress efficiently. Okay, that is great. Give more options for whales to spend our money, because that's how your game's gonna survive in the gacha atmosphere. Like, as how do I say this? Some people hate gachas because they're predatory. Great. I shouldn't have said great. That's a very fair response. I have no arguments against that. But it is your responsibility to see how you want your money to be spent. If you want to spend it on gacha, be my guest. I don't give a damn's crap. That is your thing. But from like a business standpoint, from a gacha game, that is a great thing to add. Tribe 9 needs more ways for people who genuinely want to spend money on the game to spend money. Because right now, all you can really do is the battle pass, the paid monthly pass, and the paid enigmas. Only 3. Compared to other gacha games, that is literally nothing. You have what are the gacha games? Like right now, Reverse, they're constantly coming up with new packs, new skins. You could easily buy, like, you could spend probably like $400 in a single day, if you wanted to, on Reverse, because there's just so many packs, so many things you could buy with real life money. I think of like Cookie Run Kingdom. They have so many little purchases that like makes you go, well, it's only $4.99. It's only like $6.99. And then you see how many of those packs there are. You can spend like $50 in a day. And then you reach like what you see, like Project Set Guy. Do you see how much stuff they have for you to spend your money on? I'm pretty sure they have like 3 passes. They have 3 options for a monthly pass, each with their own separate tier. They have new skins coming out every month or 2 that's not related to the gacha. And the gacha is like, I wouldn't say it's terrible in that game, but holy cow, there's a lot of ways you can spend money on Project Sekai, and no wonder it's so successful. No wonder they're able to to make a full-on anime movie, even if they're using a super popular Vocaloid, aka Hatsune Miku, my beloved. There's just so many ways that people can spend their money on a game, and Tribe 9 doesn't have that. If they want to stay alive, and I really want them to stay alive, give whales more options to spend their money. This is a step in the right direction in terms of monetization, and I hope they add a few more things, but of course, enough where it doesn't become like, oh, I can't do this without having to pay. No, we want to ignore that. We want to do if you want to get more materials, you don't have the time, okay, I'll just buy this pack. Great. If somebody wants to collect all the skins in the game, let them have all the skins in the game. They'll have to pay money, but they get all the skins in the game. Like, it doesn't hinder your experience, or it doesn't hinder your end game experience, or how much skill you put into the game. Some people are just like that. Some people love cosmetics. And there's so many player cards, there's so many player skins, right? There are quite a few player skins right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had some of those players who are just like, I want to get all the customizable player cards. I want to get all the player skins. Go for it. But make sure that like they're able to get that, you know? Like if they have to spend money, monetization. What you do with your money, whatever. Anyways, that was a rant and a half. I'm not even a business major. But whatever. Okay. Version 111 update details. So this is the patch after. Okay, so this is, they're doing, okay, so they're giving us a preview of the patch afterwards. Interesting. Okay, we'll see what they have. Scrolling, it's just a bunch of fractal ice changes. I saw some very good screenshots, so let's go. As mentioned earlier, the current fractal vice has several issues that we plan to address through the major overhaul after 110. Thank the Lord. Due to the extensive nature of these changes, we'll introduce them gradually. Okay. Anyways, the new fractal vice hegemony. Oh, they have a title for it now. Does the current one have a title? I don't know. Whatever. The new fractal vice hegemony is scheduled to launch on April 24th, 1 week after the Chapter 3 update. Interesting. We encourage you to first enjoy Neo Trio's City and the Chapter 3 story in 110 before preparing to tackle the upcoming fractal vice. Furthermore, we are planning an update aimed at improving fractal vice to coincide with the timing of support contract switches in the future. In this update, we plan to implement character balance adjustments that we will discuss later in this letter. We aim to maintain the balanced game environment long term, enabling players to enjoy many kinds of team compositions. Interesting. So the thing that really not really blows my mind, but definitely like making me do a double take, is that they're already implementing character balance adjustments, character buffs, maybe nerfs this early into the game, which is very interesting because gacha games don't do that so early. At least from the ones I've played, especially with games like right now, Reverse, they introduced the character buff, like they had character adjustments, I'd say about a year after their release. And with Epic 7, they do pair character adjustments, but that most of the time they kind of do the create the problem character and then sell the solution character, that kind of thing, instead of just adjusting a character that is already able to tackle that problem and adjust them further. Like gacha games that I've played don't really do that. So the fact that they're already implementing character balance adjustments a month in is really interesting. I don't know if it's a bad thing, because it might stab them in the back later in the future. Because if they introduce this so early, hardcore characters who care about the meta are gonna be like, when is my character gonna get buffed? This character's so weak, they need to be buffed. Like, it creates a really bad dichotomy between the player base and the devs. So while I'm really happy that they're introducing character balance adjustments already, especially with some of the 4-stars, they definitely that kind of the power disparity between a few of them is quite noticeable at times, especially with the healers like Minami and Koichi, in comparison to Tsuki and Yo, whose role and flexibility is really versatile. Minami and Koichi are just they're healers through and through, but even so, their healing power is Koichi is a very one-off healing, and then Minami is healing's not the best in comparison to Yo, who was able to literally fully heal your bar with a simple strategy skill. And that's like spammable. Well, not spammable, but you can cast it like every 5 seconds, like 3-4 seconds, which is insane. If they're nerfing characters, we'll have to see. But if they're like minorly buffing, I'd be more than happy. Like, just do minor buffs. Don't do any like major changes. Don't be like, Manami's now a DPS. Like, please don't do that. Yeah, we'll have to see. Anyways, separating the Red Limit series from Fractal. Okay, so this is like Solitaire and Bakugamon. I keep saying that wrong. Bakugamon. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, first off, battles with the Red Limit series can only be challenged in a special space that can be accessed after clearing the deepest part of Fractal Vice, not within Fractal Vice itself. Once you reach the space related to the target boss, you can move directly to that space without going through Fractal Vice from then on. Okay, so this is an automatic teleport. Hell yeah. Thank the Lord. For example, after you clear the deepest floors of Fractal Vice and unlock Bakugamon's room once, you can then always travel directly to Bakugamon's room going forward. If the active Red Limit series boss changes to Solitaire, you'll need to clear Fractal Vice steps again to unlock access to Solitaire's room. However, if the boss later switches back to Bakugamon, you can immediately challenge Bakugamon directly when Fractal Vice resets. Note, as the battles with the Red Limit series have been separated from Fractal Vice, you can now rematch them at any time. Oh my god. Okay, this is already a big change. Because leveling 45 to 50 is a pain in the ass. And most people only do that through the Red Limit series because they grant, I believe, like 9600 EXP when you're level like 45 to 50. So some people just like rush through Fractal Vice just to do the Red Limit series to farm EXP. I hated that because that meant going through 4 freaking floors in order to reach the boss. But this means you can just farm them over and over. Going from 45 to 50 is gonna be so much easier. And the fact, like, you can't rematch them. It's not a rematch. It's not like a quote-unquote rematch, but it basically is. But like, thank the Lord, you can like practice against the Red Limit series without having to run through 4 freaking floors of respawning enemies, which you have to fight. So holy cow, that's a great change already. New map feature added. Whoa, thank the Lord. People were asking for this. People were like making programs or making websites of like, hey, this is the week's Fractal Vice lore. Whatever. But yeah, this is great already. We've added an overall map screen where you can see the entire Fractal Vice. You can now check routes and the number. Yes! Oh my god, you can check the routes and the number of treasure chests you obtain. Insane. Insane. Already a great change. Like, I am so happy with these 2 changes. If they only introduced these 2 changes, I would be so excited. But there's more. Changes to unlocking gates. Within the given week's run of Fractal Vice, once you defeat the so-called gatekeeper enemies, the corresponding gate remains open for the rest of the week. Great, love that change. On floors you've already cleared once, this makes it possible to employ playstyles like quickly defeating remaining enemies sufficiently in groups. Great, amazing. I have no like complaints about that. Amazing quality of life. Revised structure and difficulty. Oh, that's an interesting floor layout. Anyways, in Hegemony, we are revising the overall difficulty. Enemies will become significantly stronger as you venture into deeper levels. Okay, I want to see where that goes. We're also removing all rifts for returning within floors. What does that mean? To return, you'll need to clear the boss floor that matches your current difficulty level. You can access the boss floor from rooms B1, B4, will you face a boss appropriate to your difficulty level? Okay. Oh, wait. We're also removing all rifts for returning within the floors. Okay. So you need to clear the boss in order to get that returning rift. Okay. Oh, okay. They just... Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe they weren't that difficult. Weirdly. No, I think I'm just dumb. Anyways, instead of Red Limit series bosses, you'll encounter ferocious enemies and familiar foes like Brave Diver and Shark from your previous adventures. Some of these bosses may exceed your levels typically available in normal play, ensuring challenging battles even with familiar opponents. Okay, so they're introducing Brave Diver and Shark, and probably the same kind of boss that will be present in Chapter 3. Interesting. That's probably what they mean by the difficulty and enemies will increase. Literally introduce the overworld boss. Like, I mean, I have no complaints about that. Definitely ups the end game feeling you'll get from Fractal Vice. Holy chest! Oh, oh. That is a trove. B4 too? Oh my god. That is insane. I'm sorry, this screenshot is kind of insane. Anyways, clearing a boss floor causes two types of chests to appear. Luxurious chests with the quantity determined by your score at that point, and one special chest which can be attained once per week. Different from chests found normally on the floors, these score-based luxurious chests can be earned repeatedly on subsequent clears. Oh. Okay. This change aims to prevent a situation where players who could clear the original Fractal Vice without problems up to deepest level might now only be able to clear up to floor B2 in Hegemony, which could result in a decrease in the total number of Pantomon obtained or require more time for Pantomon selection than before. In addition to this, we are implementing several improvements to make it easier to select Pantomon and to provide a greater sense of progression. Okay, wait. I might have just blanked out what I was reading. Okay, so there's a special chest. Luxurious chest. Luxurious chest with the quantity determined by your score at that point. Special chests once per week. Okay. Different from blah blah blah. These score-based luxurious chests earned repeatedly, so you can just find them? Okay, I don't know if you can find them on the same floor, but they respawn. I'm curious what they have. Aims to prevent a situation where players... So this is based on... Okay. Okay, I think I kind of understand. Okay, no, wait. I understand. So these chests different or allow players who are not ready to challenge the harder floors still able to access tier 8 Pantomons that are obtained through luxurious chests. Okay, I get that. That's fine. That's understandable. I just want to know what's inside these chests to see if they're like crazy or not. Because this is an insane amount. If these all have tier 8 Pantomons, that is insane. That's 10. That's 19 luxurious chests on one floor. Plus a special chest. That's insane. That is insane. You can get 9,700. So they've upped the score. I just really want to see what I want to see what they're gonna do. I want to see how much Fractal Vice changes right now, because this is a lot of change. This is a lot. Gradually, my ass. This is a big change. This is a big Fractal Vice change. But I am welcome. I am very much welcoming it. Anyways, as mentioned briefly in the Fractal Vice section, the Red Limit series will be repositioned as a separate challenge content detached from conquering Fractal Vice. Therefore, the special chest that allows you to raise your character rank to EX plus 1 and beyond can now be attained by clearing Fractal Vice without having to defeat the Red Limit series. Okay. That's fine, I guess. I don't really... EX plus 1 is kind of... EX plus 1 and beyond is kind of like a waste, because it only gives one gem, one potential gem. I just don't feel like that's enough incentive for me, personally. But some people really like that. As we mentioned in the previous director's letter, we positioned the Red Limit series purely as challenge content, and this change aims to further clarify the policy. Okay. Furthermore, the Red Limit series and Hegemony and going forward, difficulty selection will be added, similar to rifts and boss farming. However, unlike the overworld, you will unlock higher difficulty levels by clearing the one before it. Difficulty selection will be added. Okay. We've prepared some exceptionally challenging optional bosses available to fight once you've cleared Chapter 3. That's an insane line to read. Even harder bosses? Let's go! People who love battle, me included, are frothing at the mouth hearing that. Defeating them on their highest difficulty setting rewards players with a unique medal corresponding to each boss. Okay, that's fine. To put it another way, these bosses only drop their respective medals. There are no other unique items or progression benefits tied to them, so if you're focused on building your characters and following the story, you can absolutely skip these fights with no penalty. Okay, honestly, that is totally fine. Yeah, no complaints about that. Honestly, makes total sense. It doesn't punish casual players at all, which are likely a majority of the player base. Whereas people like me who love combat, and want the, like, in an ideal world, this game would be like only fighting. Actually, that's not true. But like a lot of the content should be like battle focused. That's just my dream. But this is very respectable. Like, we need to respect the casual players, and this is a very good way to deal with it. So kudos to the devs for that. Oh, that fucking shark attack. I can parry that attack. Anyways. Sorry, I bragged there. Also, starting with the Gemini edition, including the existing Red Limit series, warning attacks will be replaced with a new attack called Fatal Attacks. Okay. If you are hit by this attack, you will be inflicted with the Perilous State, which increases the damage you take for a certain period. Perilous State is a stacking effect up to which a maximum of 3 stacks. At maximum stacks, the multiplier becomes so high that the next hit will definitely knock you insta-kill. Damn, they introduced an insta-kill mechanic? That's crazy. The duration of one stack is not very long, so if you're hit by a fatal attack, we recommend playing it safe and prioritizing recovering from the perilous state. For players who have already figured out the attack patterns of Bakuman and Solitaire, this change should not significantly impact the gameplay feel. Even with builds centered around characters like Psycho, who specializes in damage reduction, it is still possible to withstand attacks and win as before if you properly deal with the fatal attacks. Okay. I think this just kind of ups the... This feels like a change where you can really see kind of the difference between like a person who's just starting to get into endgame and somebody who's already like kind of really into the endgame in terms of combat and like skill. Like, you can kind of see the skill difference, but I think it's also a good strategy to be like, okay, I need to really learn how to get this attack down, or like to deal with this attack, because if I don't, I just die instantly. Like, I think that's a good learning incentive. Because you don't have any lives in this game. You just need to repeat and retry. Which I think is a good mechanic. Yeah, whatever. Good change. It looks like to be all of the Fractal Vice changes. I am very excited to see how this plays out. Because that's a lot of changes. A lot of changes. A lot of good changes. I really just want to see how it plays out. Anyways, this is like second to last section. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, about game balance. Oh boy. Okay, in version 1.0 environment, we designed the game assuming the player base level of 40, with level 50 being attainable only for those who had defeated the Red Limit series. Yeah, makes sense. However, shortly after launch, we made several changes to the game. These changes allowed many players to reach level 50, and removing the card tension consumption made players even more powerful. We now recognize that these adjustments have made enemies too weak to pose a meaningful challenge against players' increased firepower. Damn. They really just said, players are too strong. Well, I want to see the data behind that. Like the actual statistic of like how many people are clearing that content. Because if they're saying it's too much, then we must have a lot of like, either they really like shot up how strong the character, or how they really shot up like the power adjustment, or how much power the players have versus like, you know, the bosses. Anyways, ramble over. However, shortly after launch, we made several oh wait, okay, I already read that. While we appreciate that this power progression reflects our players' dedication to strengthening their characters, it reveals a deeper issue. The current lack of gameplay depth means players don't feel sufficiently rewarded for character advancement. Okay, I understand that. With that in mind, and based on our current development progress, we are continuously working on adjusting battles, starting with increasing the enemy difficulty in Chapter 3 in Fractal Vice. With that said, we also recognize that those who prioritize enjoying the story, this increase in difficulty may be causing more stress than intended. Therefore, we plan to distribute the difficulty across the game's 4 main pillars: story progression, post-story content, Fractal Vice's endgame content, and then the Red Limit series. In particular, we plan to adjust the difficulty of the story progression to make it smoother than the current experience. Furthermore, within Fractal Vice, we plan to establish clear difficulty differences between B1 to B4. Okay. Taking all of this into account, in the upcoming version 1.10, we will reduce the number of enemies in areas that are part of the main story progression. We will also make adjustments for future updates so that the battle difficulty in Chapter 3 story progression is somewhat easier. Okay. In particular, regarding the Chapter 1 boss shark, while some players were satisfied with the challenge, we have confirmed that many others felt compelled to stop playing it because of it. Interesting. We hope to make it possible to enjoy the story comfortably as soon as possible. Okay. So, this entire section is purely dedicated to the casual player base, in my opinion. Because I think it's this last paragraph that really gets me. Because I didn't feel unmotivated to stop playing because the shark was too hard. I fought against shark while it still had that like slow effect to its attacks. And then literally the day after, like 2 days after I fought shark, they removed it. I was like, damn, that's kind of crazy. And it's like, it's kind of like a reality punch cut, where it's like, oh, some players are, they really, like, they're different players than me. Like, there really are a lot of casual players. And there are players, if battles are too tough, they will quit. To me, that's like kind of insane. Because I like hard battles. Or like, I like hard battles where I'm able to see a clear goal. And Shark was one of those bosses where I felt very satisfied, because I was just like, okay, these attacks are not hard. They're just, I just need to know them. And then after I know them, it's like an easy attack to dodge. Or to counterattack. Like, it's really easy to, or it's like, it's hard to grapple at first, but it's easy to understand. That's what I liked about the Shark boss in particular. But some players are just, some people just don't like that. Like, some people get a lot of anxiety through fighting difficult bosses and ultimately just give up on the game as a whole, which to me is not something I'm familiar with. But I do know some people who are not familiar with video games are like that. Like, they didn't grow up in that kind of situation, or they didn't grow up with games like that, in that kind of way, where it's just like, they don't have that kind of mindset when it comes to playing games. And it's kind of like a reality gut punch. So I don't feel like super strongly about it. I think what makes it, what keeps me like satisfied about this whole article, even if I'm not like a casual player, is that they're not how do I say it? It's like there's still a lot of care to the people who value the combat in this game. Like, I don't want to, like, I say I don't want to throw this game under the bus, but I kind of do. Like, the thing that makes me feel confident in this post in comparison to something like Genshin, the reason why I stopped playing Genshin was because there's I don't remember if it was like a dev note or if it was like an interview, but they're like, yeah, we're not gonna do a lot of things with the combat anymore because we just have so many casual players now. We're gonna cater to the casual player base now. And for me, what I really liked about Genshin was its combat system. I was really satisfied with the combat system, and I was really hoping they would be able to evolve on that and to like introduce some new stuff to like make it really exciting. But they literally just told the players who care about that aspect, including me, it's like a slap to the face. It's just like, oh, we don't really care about you guys anymore. Just like, you're gonna experience the same kind of combat for like the next 4 years or until the end of the game. And it was one of my biggest reasons to why I stopped playing Genshin altogether. In comparison to reading this Tribe 9 paragraph, or this this section, makes me feel hopeful, because it's a hard thing to balance out the casual player base with the players who are really engaged in the end game content, and with a game as Tribe 9 that heavily relies on its combat, but also has a really good story, has great characters, and has really good potential to become like a bigger IP within the gacha space. There's gonna be a lot of casual players that come along just for the story, and they don't realize that this game is like was made to be like, you know, a brutal JRPG, as they said. And I really respect that choice to be like, they want to maintain that brutal RPG style, but they also want to do their best to get new players in, especially people who are unfamiliar with such a combat system that is as intense as this. Because unfortunately, a lot of gacha games, their combat is quite, I wouldn't say straightforward, but definitely not as hard as it can be in comparison to like actual action games. So yeah, that's my whole rant about that. But I really like that they're trying to maintain that sense of like hard battles, but also trying to make progression for players who are maybe not familiar with the combat too well more lenient and more accessible in a sense. So I really like that. Anyways, looking ahead, our roadmap. Starting with chapter 3 and onwards, plan to add new chapters and cities in a 3-month cycle to Tribe 9. Great, amazing. Oh, we also got names here. Let me look at this first. Okay. New bosses. Yup. Yay. New boss. Gemini. Okay, so May and June. So in May and June, new character Hinagiku Akiba. That's a long ass name. That's like Hyakuichi Taro. I'll probably be able to say that in like Ichinosuke. Let's see how he pronounces his name. Saizo Akiba. I forgot the hacker guy who is in Lux Phantasma. Not in, but like rumored to be. Whatever. New side story, cool. More events, near future, balanced game balance updates, special battle content. That is chapter 2. That's the chapter 2 boss. So I don't know. Interesting. Well, we will see. Okay, starting with chapter 3 and onwards, we plan to add new chapters and cities in a 3-month cycle to Tribe 9. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. In April, renewed Fractal Device will appear 1 week after release of version 1.0, and starting in May, a battle focus event will be added. Yay! This event is designed to be slightly over the top, allowing even casual players experiment with different team combinations and see damage numbers beyond the usual range. It also provides challenging battles for hardcore Fractal Device players, giving everyone the freedom to play at their preferred difficulty level. I like that they used hardcore. They're really getting into us. This battle event, like Lux Phantasma, is also scheduled to be held for a longer period. In addition to this, we plan to hold somewhat smaller events every 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, cool. Regarding side stories, including the current Lux Phantasma, we have received a lot of positive feedback and are considering recognizing the flow so that they can become permanent content in the future. Interesting. Okay. This will be a rather large-scale change, so it will take some time to implement. However, we are preparing to share some news by the time the next side story is released, so please stay tuned for further updates. Cool. Ooh, that's a cool map. Yes! Oh, this is all I needed to see. Oh, I'm gonna cry. These are such good changes. We are also preparing updates to improve the quality of life for our players, including functional enhancements. Among these, we have received a lot of feedback, particularly regarding Minato City, saying that the map structure and connections are difficult to understand. In response, we are preparing an update that will renew the display of the radar and the full map. Amazing, great change, definitely needed. In addition to this, we are working on many other improvements, such as features that will make it easier to check synergy effects and buffs and debuffs during battles. We hope to announce these in a format in the future as well. That would be great. Yeah, because you can barely see them. It's just an icon above the health bar. Even I don't really know, which is a bad sign. Okay. Game balance update. This is either gonna make or break. Okay. Following the new chapter's release, we will implement regular balance updates focusing primarily on character adjustments. These updates aim to strengthen underused characters, creating more diverse options for team compositions. Characters that were released at launch will particularly need ongoing balance updates to keep them viable, since they tend to become weaker as the game evolves. Addressing para creep, hugely gacha space, amazing. Already adjusting it. 1 month, great. We've also received feedback on some characters' transcend effects feel underwhelming. The fuck? What is transcend? While we plan to strengthen these effects to make them more impactful, such adjustments require careful balancing. We ask for your patience as we work on these improvements. Some characters transcend effects. Okay, maybe I'm dumb. I don't know what that is. Feel free to let me know. Anyways, with that said, we plan to implement some initial numerical adjustments to Q, Hyakuichi and Minami Oi. Oh, Q adjustment already? Amazing. Minami Oi, I love using her for my Kazuki team because I have his attention card. And her chain attack just applies another shield, so I can get max stacks on Kazuki's tension card, which is one chain attack, which is great. But other than that, she's pretty lackluster, I will admit. But I love seeing her moves in battle. She has such a unique battle style, and I love to see it. Q definitely needs some adjustments because he's kind of like a jack of all trades, but master of none. He's really like that character. So definitely having a more unique or a more distinct playstyle, whether that's regarding his break capabilities, even though it's max, he's the weakest breaker in the game. In comparison to Yo, who's a 4-star. Or to have him as more of a tank, because he does get attention. Or to have him as a DPS, because he is on the standard banner with literally 3 other DPS units. So, I don't know. Hyakuichi, I don't use him. So I don't know how his power feels. I think I've seen him used with a few burst teams. Like with the Suki ult burst. But I don't know. Considering they're adjusting him, I guess his power level is below the average. So I don't know. I can't comment on that. Final thoughts. That will be all for this director's letter. Since the game's launch on February 20th, we have received a lot of critical feedback. However, thanks to everyone's support, we are able to recover a very positive review on Steam. We'd like to extend our sincerest gratitude to everyone. Oh my god. That's so crazy they adjust that. Beyond what we've introduced today, we have prepared several additional updates and improvements to enhance your adventures in Neo Tokyo. We hope to continue providing you with further updates in the future, so we appreciate your patience. In the upcoming version 110, we have prepared a major update that will significantly change the environment with a new city, new characters, and new pantomimes. More dramatic development awaits you in the others' stories as well. We help you pay close attention to not only the new numbers, but also the actions of Q, who will be a key person in the upcoming story. Let's meet again, Neo Tokyo. Oh, okay. Amazing update. I'm just gonna say that off the bat. I am even more excited than I was before about this update, especially with the fractal vice changes. That is insane. Some of these changes are insane. Like, the map is already one thing, but the farming for getting experience, battling the red limit series, amazing change. Pantomon filtering, I am frothing out the mouth. Rift updates, like, just take it. Just take everything. Take my life essence. Like, holy cow. I am very excited. I want to know what they're gonna do for the character changes. I circled the wrong section. Q, Hakuchito, Q skin. Oh, I can't wait for the Q skin. Why is this such a fine specimen? Oh god. Anyways, I will simp later. But yeah. Take a shot every time I've said this is an amazing update. Very excited for the new character. I'll probably try to do a video or even like stream pulling her and then seeing all the changes. I'll definitely stream chapter 3. Maybe do like just a playthrough of chapter 3 as well. I just want to see what's happening. I'm so excited. But yeah, that pretty much concludes this entire reaction video. This is almost 2 hours long, I think. So I'll just stop it here. But thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, concerns, or things you just wanted to share about Tribe 9, or even just talk about Tribe 9 in general, feel free to join, because this game is amazing and I really want it to succeed. Anyways, have a good day. Thank you very much once again, and I hope to see you again in the future. Bye bye.